What is happening, everyone? Welcome back to the show, RHMax.tv. This is HEX is the way. We got a few things to go through. Definitely a focus on HEX today. Doesn't get as much love as it deserves. I'll say that. Recently, price up, down, left, right, whatever. But boy, there's always more to the story than it seems. And I'm glad I got access here today to go through the data, actually look at it instead of just the price chart, which people like to point to and from time to time for good reason as well. But man, very excited to get into that and a couple other things as well. So get to chat in just a minute. Without further ado, welcome back to the show, Access Alive. How's it going, man?
What's going on, everybody? Thanks for having me back, Max. This is probably number 29 and a half.
I always think about it when we come on. I'm like, man, we got to be in the teens. I want to go count at least 29 and a half, maybe 69.
I think this is the most. I've been on this channel more than I've been on any other, even more than the OG Whales Only streams, even, I think.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's the only other one I was thinking of that may be competing, but I think so too.
Corey Costa has had me on quite a few times, but not nearly. Like, we're going on like 3-4 times a month, it seems like.
It feels that way. I try not to. I'm trying okay, when's Access on? All right, I don't want to like do too much. I want to have every time we get on, I want it to be like this fresh banger.
Do you remember when we just like, I don't know when this was, maybe it was 2022 summer, and like literally no matter when you went on, there was somebody else on. Like there was no way to nowadays, like, you know,
yeah,
there's pockets where the people just aren't streaming as much anymore. And I've noticed that, you know, that's good because I mean it means that we got a lot of the less high quality like the lower quality streamers out of the way, and it's I do miss my crypto in the morning streams every now and then.
Crypto in the morning.
I wish Jim Rat would come
back
in the morning.
And, yeah,
you know, throw down
one of the best intros too. I gotta say
it was such a good track.
It was always like right in the morning when it was a good time for me to listen in, and yeah, it was. Yeah, that was a show.
Crypto
yeah, maybe
in the morning.
Good morning. And yeah, that was, oh man. I was going to say back then too. Yeah, that's when PulseTube was super. I mean, PulseTube's still useful, but I was using it a lot more back then to be like, when are people streaming? So I can try to like when I set them up ahead of time. Nowadays, it's like I don't even know. Like some days, you know, of course, you know, we schedule ahead of time a lot of times too, but some days I just don't know, and it's just going to happen, and we're going to overlap, and it's just whatever. It's just how the universe works sometimes. But back then, I was really like, okay, let me look at the schedule and then see how I can how we can space it out more because there was so much going on. But yeah, like you said, now it's, hey, if you're still here streaming, even if you're not, I mean, shout out to everyone who's not streaming right now. We hope to have you back and hope to have like those numbers, 70 streamers, as somebody says. Hope we get 100 plus streamers, and it'll be one of the best communities to create content ever, like in existence. Like there's not even who holds a candle to us, man.
I don't know if there's. I mean, there's a lot of. Let's be upfront. Like, there's a lot of Bitcoin and Ethereum, like platforms that promote crypto generally. You know what I mean?
General platforms, of course. But the ones who are just like, I love Bitcoin. I want to talk about Bitcoin every.
Yeah, there's none of that. There's none of that. Like fanboy. Well,
at least mostly.
Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, you have Bitcoin maxis, but they're not streaming like we are. So, I mean, it's pretty cool that, you know, it's its own, you know, Richard set the precedent, right? He's the GOAT of streaming.
Oh my God.
And yeah, he spawned a bunch of little minions that are out here trying to do the same thing. So, but hey, it's cool. You know, there's always so much going on over on the PulseChain. So there's plenty to talk about, more than Richard could ever do on his own anyhow.
Yeah, I think Richard, man, I think I was streaming. I licked my lips a little bit just to see even the Twitter spaces he did that a lot of people recorded. Shout out to people who were like getting the last pieces of some of the LP stuff he was talking about, and otherwise had a lot of fun clipping some of that. But yeah, man, what's been going on with you? Like, let's start off with current events. Otherwise, you want to discuss what's going on?
Yeah, well, you know, people are wondering probably what happened this week. We had a whale, an Axis whale, get drained of all of his Pulse and all of his Axis coins. So what happened with that was he was trying to, and by the way, he's came clean in Katie's Cabal. He signed a message publicly to the address that got drained so that, you know, he proved it was him. That was on Hexastani Dylan, you know, of PHUX fame. It was his suggestion to have him do that to prove that he is who he said he was. And he said that he felt like he was targeted, but that as he was trying to apply for a block blend prepaid card, which the process was slow, he went to a Telegram chat. And the question mark for me is like how he got in that Telegram chat. But ultimately, he went into this fake block blend Telegram chat, like for support, and clicked a link to a fake blend front end. And then that right when he got to the page, which you all know that this is not normal, a connect wallet thing came up right away. And he connected his wallet and he approved a transaction without thinking about it. And the transaction automatically drained him of all of his Pulse, which was like 300 million plus, and 42 Axis coins, which had a net worth, had a value of about $1.1 million. And so as soon as I got, I was at dinner with my girlfriend, and I was just scrolling on my phone. I looked at the charts. I do that often, and I saw this big red candle, and immediately I was like, I was thinking to myself who I thought that could be that would make a candle of that size, because I was looking at the volume, and it was like a $300,000 volume candle on like an hourly candle. And I'm like, there's only so many people in the system that has enough coins to produce that kind of a sell-off. And so my mind automatically started racing about who it could have been. And then I went to the bathroom, and I went to Telegram when I was in the bathroom, and I looked down, and the dude that got compromised messaged me. He's like, alert, I have an alert, like I just got drained. And I was like, and then my heart sunk. I'm like, oh no. Because I was like, now I'm trying to do these gymnastics of like, all right, how are we gonna support the price? How is this gonna affect the rest of the solid index? So I contacted relevant parties and tried to figure out, how do we do this? Do we disconnect the biggest LP pools? Do we, you know what I mean? And with a resounding foot forward of strength, some of the top people in both the solid index and the Axis group agreed that it was best to just ride this out, and whatever happens, and we'll stick together through it. And we did that. And today we got a nice price pump on Axis, and the price actually went back up to pre-drain levels. So that was pretty cool to see. I know a lot of people have a lot of opinions about what went down, or how that could have been treated differently. We had people telling us, hey, you should go fork the coin, blacklist the hacker address, airdrop new. And people like that, I think that's funny, because it's like, clearly you would never be a founder of anything valuable, because that's not how you create value. You don't, every time something goes wrong, you don't just like, somebody has to take the hit for that. And it's the LP providers. That's who takes the hit ultimately. Because the story with the guy that got hacked was that guy was able to buy Axis between $2 and $10 a coin, and his input cost was $100. And this is a testament to diamond handing, by the way. So yeah, he messed up, but the dude was a goat, dude. The guy held 42 coins from $100 valuation to $1.1 million. Isn't that amazing?
Dude, that's the thing too. It's like being able to hold doing all the right things, and just people coming by just to steal your money. It's like that sucks. I'm always like, man, it's hard enough to like not screw up. It's hard enough to like get your game plan together where you hold, and like you said too, just diamond hand and all that stuff. But then just losing it from clicking on a website or signing something otherwise. Oh man,
it's just a huge call to action about security. Like,
yeah.
I don't care if you have small bags or big bags. There's, the bigger your bags get, the more responsibility you have to take care of your bag, because if you get drained or hacked or scammed, you're gonna hurt everybody that's involved on the chain, and you're taking them down with you. And so, people think, I just have like $5,000 in crypto, or I just have $100 in crypto, and if the situation can occur like what happened with this guy, where it ballooned into this huge valuation. You make a couple wrong plays, and then now it's hurting the whole chain. And if you don't mind, I would bring up I'll share my screen quick. Yeah, I see you got some security stuff up too here, but I'll share my screen quick and just kind of talk you through where this money went and what it was actually extracted. So the original coins, they went into, I'll find the address here. 1 second. So this guy, by the way, we won't mention his name, but he did go public and say, you know, this is my address. I signed off on you to talk about this. So I wasn't going to bring this, any of this to light. I was just going to say that one of our top holders got drained. But he wanted to come forward. So anyways, here's the transaction logs. Let's see here. Just to do a play-by-play. Oh, I'm sorry. This was the so this is the hack. This is the drainer address. So all these +1 ETH, +1 ETH, +1 ETH, +2 ETH. This was the process of dumping the pulse on the ETH side. So this guy bridged out, but I'm going to get to this in a second. This isn't actually what I was looking for. And I think it's important to share this kind of information because it's good to know the process of how this went down. And like if I was going to dump Pulse, I wouldn't go to the ETH chain to dump it because you'd be eating all this slippage. But there's something interesting with that too that I want to point out when we get to that point. Let me see if I can go back far enough here. Okay, so here it was. The dumping of the axis for the Pulse. Where's the drain transaction? Okay, right here. Receive from... Okay, right here, receive 35.7. This is where the address received 35.7, and the other 6 went to another address. So this is the original wallet of the guy that got drained. If we go into his transaction history, this is what it looks like. Is a claim that gets run. I think, let's see. So all this movement here, like minus 80 solid X, minus 267 million PLSX, minus 50 million fire. This is when the guy, you know, got out of shell shock and sent the money that was left on the wallet off the wallet. But the drain transaction is right here. I think it's this claim. Oh, right here. Send 42 axis and claim. See this claim function? This is the part, like, you know, maybe this, you could do some research for me on the side sometime, but whatever this claim function was, something was approved here. Whoops. This was an approval that went through, approve infinite for axis. This 15 million was him trying to get a prepaid debit card on the legit Blockblend website. But because it was taking so long, that's when the whole compromise happened. Was he went off to Telegram looking for support on why is this taking so long to clear. And that's when he got clicked off to the fake front end, and then he approved right here. And this is just 7 minutes later. And then boom, it withdrew the 42 axis and 318 million PLS.
It's usually, I did a lot of research in the past on this, and I got written on the blog 2 different ones. I posted in the chat as well, being vigilant on free claims and also malicious smart contracts. And I have a security background and stuff too. So I kind of put that all together when I wrote the blogs, and I did security week and videos and stuff on this too. But essentially, you know, that's the long form version. If anyone wants to go watch the videos or read the blog to see the different attack patterns, but usually there is some website that tricks you into thinking it's legit, and then you do something with your wallet. You can't just go to, there's no attack I'm aware of where you go to the website and it just drains your wallet. That's just not how it works. You got to sign a transaction. You got to give it approval. You have to interact with it in some way and interact with a malicious one, the one that's trying to pretend to be block blend or whatever in this situation. So that's the biggest thing. Like as far as like not letting it happen again, the biggest things I'll just say quickly is make sure to double check the website that it actually looks like a legit website. If it has a certificate, if it's not flashing red, or if it looks weird in some way, like just that's one thing. And then the other is before you do the transaction, before you complete it, before you make the approval or whatever it's asking you to do, take the contract address and go like look up the legit one. Go to the website. Or if you're doing this, you may say, "Oh, that's too much work. Why would anyone do that?" It's like, well, then use the burner wallet. Use something else that doesn't have all your coins on it if you're going to do transactions like this. If you're not going to go through the work of seeing if it's the correct contract address and so there's different ways. MetaMask, I think, also has some like built-in scam stuff that it maybe tries
Rabby
to
does too. For sure. Rabby wallet tells you if it's a scam site.
Some of the wallets subscribe to
use a
different
condom
feeds.
Wallet.
Yeah.
DCC always talks about that. Use a don't have your all your crypto exposed on one seed phrase or one private key. That's obviously a big no-no.
But the number one thing that is like the root cause of all this stuff is clicking on a link. You clicked on, I mean, in this case, correct me if I'm wrong, like he clicked, somebody clicked on a link that went to a website that looked like it was legit and they interacted with it. Is that what happened?
100%. And I can even show you the picture of what he sent me and what it looked like. So do this.
HEX Monkeys, mentioned hardware wallets. They do help, but they only help if you do actually verify it, because the hardware wallet, it'll still do the transaction if you tell it to. So it's one of those things, if you get tricked into doing it, you're going to probably do it no matter what if you get tricked into doing it. Hardware wallet just maybe makes you think twice about it. It doesn't let someone who hacks your computer just do all the transaction stuff because you got to be physically there. Hardware wallets are just two FAs on your wallet. Think about it like that.
So when he went to this screen, it automatically pulled up this fake Connect Wallet thing. Like this is already a big no-no because this doesn't even look like the normal Connect Wallet thing when you go to click this Connect button on any site. This isn't the type of plugin that's supposed to come up. Whenever I see one of these nice little rounded pop-up thing, it's automatic no-no. This is a scam right away.
Yeah, usually it's called drawing over it. So like basically they're taking, maybe they took the legit website, inserted some code that will draw over top of the website because they're not going to go through the dev work to integrate it and do all the stuff with it. So they're like, oh, we can just insert this piece of code that's just perfectly tuned to just pop this thing up and no one's going to double check it, kind of thing. That's what you're talking about.
Fox Mulder makes a good question here that you know the answer to. Can someone approve infinite access transaction and be disguised as some other thing?
So a lot of times, I mean, every time you improve infinite anything, it's one of those things where it's how much do you trust the app? Like every time you're on PulseX or every time you're on, Pitius or whatever else, when you want to make a trade or approval otherwise, and you don't want to go back and do it multiple times, a lot of times you're going to take a shortcut and say, okay, just do the max, infinite, whatever like that. And if you're on a legit website, then, what have you got to worry about type of thing. But in general, can it be disguised as something innocuous? I think the layer that's important here is, are you talking to a legit thing? So no matter what it asks you to do, whether it looks innocent or otherwise, like, are you on the right website? Like the first thing I would look is on my browser. Am I talking to the right website? Is this the right URL? Is it misspelled? Blah, blah, blah. And the second thing is, okay, am I sure this is the wallet I want to use for the transaction? Or do I want to send whatever tokens or otherwise to a burner wallet and then do it with that just in case something happens? And then the third thing is, again, double check. If you're really not sure, if you're like, okay, I want to make sure I've never went to this website before. You could bookmark websites to take care of a lot of this stuff too, instead of Googling. Bookmarking is like the preferred way. Then you can check, like, what is the contract address supposed to be? Go to their Twitter, go to wherever, get the actual contract address and compare it to the one you're being presented in MetaMask. And if it's not the same, then you're not on the right website. You're not interacting with the official product. So the overall, layer, it could be, the MetaMask prompt could say anything. It could say something that looks interesting. It could say something that looks scammy. It could say something that looks innocent or otherwise. But the question is, are you interacting with the right place? That's the question you need to answer.
Mm-hmm. And the way you'd know it is because you need, if you're ever doing anything on a site you don't know the official domain then you shouldn't be on there. Like I know that blockblend.io is blockblend.io. Like, and if that's not what's in my, if I will always start there. I will always start at blockblend.io, right? And even in some cases in the past, those even get compromised, right? But generally, if you're, at least if you're on the right domain, you're good. Yeah. But you have to go there yourself manually. You can't be clicking links to places, because that's how compromises can occur too. The way that this kind of went down was, this was the thing that he got smoked on, was it said migration to new block blend contract. I mean, that's such a dead giveaway. There is no migration to a new block blend. That's all it, you know what I mean? But when you're not thinking clearly, or you get complacent in your crypto journey, it's easy to, like, not think this through. I mean, this is how easy it is to mess up, guys. And we just want you to be extra careful out there.
And this isn't just for stupid people either. Like, this is something 2 times I've almost been fooled by scammers trying to steal money. 2 times. I'll tell you 2 quick stories. The first one was from a fake Alex from Hedron on Telegram messaged me. And what they did was they messaged me like a month or so beforehand. So we already had a chat history, very innocent. Oh, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. Just quick conversation. And then didn't say anything. So they set everything up. And then when they actually want to execute the attack, then they say, oh, hey, they'll message you again. Okay, you've already got chat history. It already feels like you're talking to the authentic person, the right person. And then they'll ask you to do something. In this case, it was like, oh, go to this website to amalgamate your funds for the new contract. And I was like, wait. And then I started asking that's so the thing that's, I was intrigued. Like, oh, is there a new contract? I think that ICOS had just been launched, all that stuff. So it was a perfect scenario to try to trick, again, security person too. But I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And then I remember thinking, okay, this kind of sounds funny. I don't know. And I said, hey, I just messaged you on Twitter. So if you have 2 different forms of communication with that person, just use the other one. Because then you can. Then I said, hey, message me back on Twitter. I got to ask you something. And then they didn't, or said that they didn't want to, or whatever it was. That's when I knew it was a scam. And that link was a place to, I assume, go and drain a wallet. That was the first one. So that kind of took me down a road for a second. So I was thinking, wow, if I've seen all kinds of different phishing attacks. I've worked professionally and all this stuff. If I can get fooled, like, hey, they're getting pretty good at this stuff. The second one happened probably 2 or 3 months ago from an exchange that went out of business. I guess I'd used a long time ago. And the email, when these things happen, it's crazy, man. I think they get in bankruptcy or whatever happens, somebody either pays for it or it gets leaked or whatever, all the customer information. So they have your full name. They have all this like they have the legit information on all the clients and stuff, and the email addresses, of course. So, get an email that's got all this personal information, got all this stuff, it all looks legit, saying, hey, you got a balance here of however many $1,000. You need to come claim it before this date, with a link to go claim it. The link was they had registered a domain that looked like, I believe it looked like it came from the holding company or the bankruptcy company or whatever it was, that it looked legit. It was like, in my head, I'm adding up the story. Okay. They contact you. That's what they would do. In this case, you have a balance. They say, hey, you go to this website, which is now owned by the other company that they would have set up to do all this stuff. It all looked legit. I went there and actually tried to interact with it. I tried to interact with the contract, but it was asking me to do something. I can't remember what it was. I did a whole stream on this. It was asking me to do something, sign something or do something. And I was like, that don't make any sense, and like no transaction would go through. And I used a burner wallet. I didn't use any valuable wallet because I was just supposed to receive funds, right? So like, why would I use my regular wallet? I don't want them to, I don't want that to be, on the traced or any footprint or anything like that. So privacy, 1, and 2, there's no reason to do that for security either. So I used a burner wallet, tried to interact with it. It failed the transactions. It didn't even go through because it asked me to do something weird with it. But that's the second time. And I was like, oh, this is clearly a scam. I called the number here's the key part. In the email address, they left contact information if you have any problems. They left the real contact information for the entity on the email. So I called them, hey, I saw I have a balance on here. The transaction wouldn't go through or whatever. What's going on? Can you help me? And they said, did you go to this website or ask me whatever? I said, yeah, I went to this website. I said, oh, that has nothing to do with us. That is a scam. You're the 100th person to call in or whatever. And I was like, okay, that's what I kind of thought it was afterwards. So anyways, you don't have to be dumb. If this happens to you, don't feel like, it happens to a lot of people, and even security people, have these like lapses of, wow, this is really good. This actually sounds like a legit thing. But again, we went through all the things that can help you stay safe. Make sure you're going to the right website, bookmark it, don't Google for it, stuff like that. Double check the links, double check the contract address, use a burner wallet. Those 3 things are essential, and don't click on links. If you really want to go, don't click on any links in Telegram. Just don't click on any links. Go type it in, or go search it manually to find the official website, all that. That's the best, easiest ways I can think of to keep safe on this stuff.
Thanks, Max, for that, and appreciate your expertise in the security realm, and also it's important to admit that it's easy to get fooled, even for experts. Like experts even sometimes walk a few steps too far into the door and then have to turn around. And so like if somebody it's pretty hard to get a hold of me, because if an account messages me on Telegram that I don't know who it is, I automatically delete it. I don't even go into it. Like that's how serious I am. Like I'm not going to even open your bullshit. Like I'm not. If you could be totally harmless, but I'm not going in there. It's just it's auto delete.
I'm the same. Like if you don't make yourself available, you will avoid so many things too, like that stuff.
Yeah,
so
just like lock yourself in your own little realm and just grow, on your own in a lot of ways. So anyways, let's close out the last couple statements about this, and we can move on to the fun stuff, guys. So that wallet, that's a known scammer wallet that, did the drain. I have it in here now this is on the ETH chain. So here on the daily chart, you can see they bridged the funds back to Ethereum. They bridged the 5 billion Pulse back to Ethereum, and they immediately started dumping in $3,000 clips, 1 ETH clips. And I went on to CowSwap and I said, well, how much slippage would this guy eat if he dumped it all in one go? And the answer was minus 70% slippage. So the hacker was smart enough not to dump it all at once. And so what ended up happening was all these transactions, they didn't eat all that slippage. They sold, 1 ETH per time. And they ended up walking away with a total P&L of $344,000. So they did end up, this is the full extracted amount from the 35.7 Axis wallet, was $344,000 is what our ecosystem got raked for. And what I believe occurred here, like if you go down to a 5-minute chart, you can see these wicks. Somebody smart, Richard, probably has a bot on the ETH chain that's sitting here supporting price. So we gotta see that at least, which was, there's obviously someone here deliberately protecting price on the ETH side. And the reason why there's so many wicks is because it's very low liquidity over here. There's only 100K, whereas like on PulseChain there's millions and millions of dollars of liquidity. So we learned a couple things from this. We learned, about security. We learned about the drain process. We learned about their behavior. Almost all times, drainers, they just go and dump it right away. And in this case, we learned that there's a bot here on the wrapped Pulse wrapped ETH pair on Ethereum protecting price at these levels, suggesting to me that perhaps that we're going to try to find a bottom here. So we got some TA out of it too. So it wasn't all loss, but in terms of like where we're at, we're again in ETH terms. We did a little analysis here. We're flipping this, hopefully holding this as support. So it was support back in July, support back in August, support in December, and here we are trying to flip this as support now here again in April on the ratio of PLS to ETH ratio. So you don't want to see us make new lows against ETH. And so I think part of the plunge protection here is somebody's running a bot to protect these levels as well. Interesting.
Wow.
This here also, this is the hack. This is the drain wallet. It's got 63 million Pulse left out of the 5 billion. It sent $200,000, or it sent $200,000 of ETH to this wallet here, and sold it for $204,000 USDC, which just sits in the wallet. And then the other stack of 30 ETH got sent here to this wallet, $100,000 of USDC sitting in this wallet. So if anybody knows how to reach the USDC gods and tell them to freeze these funds if they can. They're just these funds that have been stolen are just sitting in these two wallets here, and I'll drop those wallets in the chat so you guys can go take a look for yourself. Boom, that's the main drain wallet. If you go run that, and this is the 200K, and this is the 100K. So if you guys want to go take a look at that, look at the history, do the chain analysis for yourself. I know a lot of people were doing chain analysis and coming to the wrong conclusions about a lot of things, saying, nasty things about me or what was done here. But I hope that this has been an enlightening process, that you can actually go back and run this address through, like, even if we just ran it through Twitter quick, perhaps we'll see, if I just type this in, search, and see any other. So these are all related to this hack in particular. Somebody said they did a analysis on it, and that they came up with, let me go to my replies, that it was a known drainer wallet. I didn't go in any farther because I know what happened, and I don't have anything to, I don't have to prove anything here. It's all kind of out there at this point. Let's see here. By the way, this is interesting note. Axis has dumped 89%, 86%, 88%, and then this 92% and got bought back hard. This is just normal par for the course with the Axis chart. It's not like, this was the only one that I actually went and took the time to, because this was a legitimate compromised wallet, that I took the time to go and make a post about it. And so I don't know why this time it was a big deal, but the other 3 times it was just crickets, about the downside action. It's funny how people are.
Yeah.
I think this is it here. He says, this guy did like a little breakdown here. I'll put that in here too, so we have that. And if you go down here to if we search them in x.com, we get this. Look at this is a scam sniffer, Web3 at real scam sniffer found that one of these wallets was malicious. So it's called Angel Drainer. Source address Angel Drainer. So anyway.
Yeah, don't get angel drained.
Whatever that means.
Taking the liquidity out of the ecosystem stuff too. There's bigger effects, especially if it's a larger wallet. It's a lot of not just an isolated incident as far as like, somebody lost their money. It's like, wow, that is value from the ecosystem, not just their wealth, but it's taking value away from PulseChain stuff too. So sucks for them, sucks for us too. So as we talked about, with all different ways to just don't be a part of that. Remove yourself from that. Like we've already discussed how to do it.
Cool. So that's probably good enough on that front. Axis did make a nice recovery off those lows. It's up, in Pulse terms, it's up 220% currently off the lows. So if you got the bottom, you sniped that dip, congratulations. That was 10% supply increase in a 12-hour period. So that doesn't happen every day. There's not even there's only 2 other people in the ecosystem that has more than 42 coins, and most people have less than 10. Most people have less than 4, actually. There's very few people that have more than 4 Axis coins. So, you look at this chart on a log chart. This is just more credence to like the power of ultra scarce market supply. I mean, this thing's literally only ever went up and to the right. And I would assume that there's not many other people that could dump, 40 coins in a 12-hour window to give you this kind of a buying opportunity. So anyways, Max, I really appreciate you letting me to bring all this to light. This is my first stream coming on since that incident happened. So I'm glad to clear that up for everybody.
Of course. I mean, make it into a learning experience. That's what it's all about.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that. So I'm going to close those down. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, that wasn't the plunge protection thing kind of neat?
Yeah, that's what I was you're talking about for
on the ETH side?
So maybe tie that in too with like maybe how does that work? Yeah, how does that work again? And are we going to make new lows, or is it you think it's going to keep it up?
Do we make new lows on the price chart of Pulse? I don't think so. We are right now breaking below this critical horizontal or diagonal support line, which this channel goes back to the bottom in August of last year. So, I mean, this can easily flip around and close. This is the monthly close is tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern. So 2 hours from now, this monthly will close down here. And when you look at this on the monthly, I mean, it's still up from the lows. Pulse is up 88% from the lows. We're currently down from that local high 70%. And next month is the 1-year anniversary of PulseChain. So, it's kind of interesting, right? The setup is very, very, very interesting. And do we make new lows? I don't believe we'll make new lows, but I don't have to be the answer. I just have to show you what I think. I just think that 1-year anniversary is going to be significant in its own right. Fundamentally, technically, we still look good here. Let me refresh this just so it's all, because I keep a lot of tabs open all the time, just to make sure the price action's all solid. Yeah, so it is currently breaking on the daily, but we'll see where we close on the monthly. If my thought was in the early days of HEX, HEX did this kind of move off the bottom too, but it was in a shorter time frame, and then it retraced the whole move. Maybe that's a good spot to take this, to segue into some HEX analysis. Like, what did the early days of HEX look like, and how far did that retracement go? This chart here is going to tell you it went down 69%, but that's not the true story. I'm pretty sure on one of the Uniswap pairs it actually went down 79%. So that would have been putting us at down here. So if you think about, is how much different is this all than the early days of HEX? It's really not that much different. So this was early HEX. We had this, choppy W sideways pattern, and then the big markup, and then the retracement, and then on one of these pairs it went down to here, minus 79%. And I think this is the worst that we'll get on Pulse. So if I go back to the Pulse chart, show you what I'm seeing is, here we go again. Here's that big W pattern, some sideways action, another W, and then the big markup, and then the full retrace of that move. Currently, we're down 69%, bang on 69% with where this candle closed here, 69%. But as I said, it could go another 10% lower. So that would put you down around a price of, worst case, you'd get, capitulation lows would be down here around 4 zeros and a 4.2 to it's 4 zeros and a 4.4, something like that. Do I think that we're going down here? I would just say that it's possible that we go down here and test like that Richard Hart's going to come fight the SEC level. That was that reversal area. So maybe that's kind of where the market is heading, is like somewhere in this general region. We're almost there though. And then I would expect like a quick reversal out. May is a new month, and it's a higher low on the monthly candle. And that's what happened here. As soon as that price reversed, let me remove all these. As soon as that price reversed, we were up 279% in 35 days from here. From that 79% level, it was like 500% in a month. So we could, in 1 month, you could completely go down, retrace the whole move, and make new highs and chop sideways. And that's kind of how I think about what's going to play out. And of course, I'm not an oracle. I could be wrong, but that's kind of where I'm at with Pulse. Is I think it's getting ready for a reversal.
I was talking to Charlie in DCC yesterday, and we were talking about the Ethereum ETF, and where, if it doesn't come in May, for example, a lot of people don't expect it to come in May, but in August, and even leading up to that, if, PulseChain is leverage on Ethereum in one way or another, does that, and if we do get the ETF in August, what do you think about that? And will that be priced in running up to it? Could that put us on a run in our ecosystem as well?
100% it could. 100% good. Maybe it'd be good to look here at ETH and Pulse against each other. Maybe that'd be appropriate. We're definitely underperforming the ETH fractal here. You can see I got this ETH fractal out from the beginning days of ETH. So we did kind of the same action, but we just rolled over. We didn't quite get up into this kind of area was where ETH did. Let me do a line chart. Let's do a daily. Let's switch this to a lighter color so everyone can see clearly. And then let's just compare how ETH has been playing with Pulse and how Pulse has been playing with ETH. All right. So we'll start from like, not the launch phase, but just kind of where ETH kind of bottomed out. Looks like PLS kind of bottomed out around the same level. And then, during this phase here, it appears as though ETH kind of, actually, you know what? Look at this. Pulse bottomed at the same time and overperformed. So it was just this divergence here where Pulse sold off and ETH kept moving up. And then ETH went sideways, and then Pulse mooned. And then they both went sideways together. And then ETH went parabolic. And Pulse was like just basically fighting upwards. But in terms of percentage gains and losses here, from the bottom, ETH went up 164%, where at the same time, PLS went up 364%. So 2.6x versus a 4.6x means that Pulse is twice as good in terms of pumpamentals as ETH is. Now I think let's just track the downside quick. It looks like ETH is down 27%, whereas PLS is down 65%. So that volatility works in both directions, which makes trading this a lot of fun, or like at least DCAing in. You might as well wait for the big pullbacks to DCA in. And yes, you can definitely watch ETH top and at the same time that PLS topped. Like it's almost to a T. So, Richard comes in I shouldn't say for fact because I don't know, but let's say SAC wallets come in and buy ETH here, same time as they bought Pulse here. And so it made, SAC wallets are so powerful in this industry. They literally made the top on both. Isn't that interesting?
Wow. Yeah, I mean, just looking at the upside, the downside too, and it gets me kind of excited too, just for, a lot of people talking about the bright future of ETH and PulseChain being leveraged on that and being able to, do all the stuff we can do in the ecosystem starting early. I don't know. It's like, what else do we need to do to sell people on PulseChain? It's like, if you like ETH, how would you like to be early and have all these new products, like not just early on ETH, but early on all the products that are forked or new that are built, from ETH too, and have this kind of economic energy and mindset and community that's, mad gains and tech and, freedom and all this stuff too. Man, that's one of the things. I mean, you can look at crypto Twitter one day or 1 week or 1 month or whatever, and everything's just the sky is falling. But when you look at the data, when you look at the charts and see the obvious things just sitting there, I don't know how it doesn't get exciting for people.
Total active wallets on PulseChain up and to the right. Daily transactions steadily climbing over time. And I can prove it just by drawing a simple line. Do like a nice and bright one for you. From these lows here to where the recent lows. That is an up and to the right trend. Daily transactions. What else? Pulse supply, probably not important for us here today.
That's actually on the transactions too. We haven't went parabolic on transactions, which is like maybe that's a question too. Which metrics haven't we just seen it?
All kinds of stuff. It's just steady growth. Look at total active wallets, just steady growth. DAI from Ethereum. Let's watch this chart. This is going to be an important one. You see here, we bottomed out at 20 million. We're coming up to 30 million. Higher low would be nice here around 30 million. What else can we talk? I mean, this is just like, even if you just measure from the local low, from the lows to the local low, this is the trend here. So we're trending back into support here. Would not be surprised to see that pump up around 30 million DAI and bridged in on chain to get a pump off that level in a reversal, similar to what we got here. We get one of these, we'll come back into here. What else? Well, and this is, I'm paying for Glassnode, so I might as well share this information. Glassnode, or not Glass. Yeah, it is Glassnode. Okay. And if we go to Ethereum transaction activity, we can actually see, oh, hold on. Let me pull me down for a second. Remove from stage, and I'm going to log in quick, and then I'll pull it. Just give me a second. This is OPSEC, guys. I don't show you my email address online.
No benefit.
Okay, now we're good. You can pull me back up. Okay, transaction history. Let's look at what. Let's see. Gas. We can track gas. We can do transaction count on Ethereum. Look, yeah, we haven't. Look, in the early days of Ethereum, let's go back to those days. We looked something like this, flat. So we might be in this period here for a PulseChain. Just kind of flat, slow trending up and to the right, you know, nothing crazy. We haven't even really gone parabolic on transactions yet. And what, you know, the irony is here is this will be the telltale sign is when you start getting huge spikes in transaction numbers, but just some sideways action here before the move. And then that will mark early that we're getting ready to do a parabolic move, because it's basically what it is it's some kind of new activity is coming into the chain. That's interesting. So if Ethereum is going to give us some insight into what's to come, you know, we're just getting started in terms of the bull run, and how I think we're looking at an extended cycle that goes out into 2026. I've been saying that for a while. That whole period I just showed you when I zoomed in was this period down here. So that, you know, there's an even bigger wave that comes later. And then we get the bear market, and then we get the next bull market. And so, I mean, looking out forward 10 years, you know, we're down here. We're way down here in the first, year from for Pulse. So, yeah, I mean, what is your thoughts on that transaction data?
Well, just looking at that, I mean, I was going to ask the question too. If we're right there at the beginning and we're leverage on ETH, does that mean we get to, you know, those higher points faster? Is it more of a compressed time cycle?
I think so, because you're booting up. Yeah. So in other words, do we get this parabolic move in less time? I believe so, because you're rebooting the Ethereum engine with a marketplace that has a lot deeper understanding of how all these different protocols works, and they already exist. Like, basically, this whole period here, there was no real DeFi products on Ethereum. This was all just trash. All the real good products for DeFi came out here.
Yep.
I mean, Chainlink didn't even launch until somewhere in 2019. I think it was somewhere in here. Oh, what?
Man, that first run up though, that's a powerful bootstrap. That is something, again, and again, everyone wants it to happen. And it's kind of like one of those things where, it sounds super bullish, but I mean, I think there could be something to it. That's why I'm asking. I'm like, I mean, why, if we're leveraged on Ethereum, we've already got the stuff here. We already know how to do all the things, liquidity, all this stuff too. Why wouldn't it be in a compressed cycle like that?
I think you're right. I think it is going to be. I think it's going to be crazy. And I mean, what else can I say? I'm here and I'm fully invested in Richard Hart. You know, I'm here and I'm fully invested in, believe that he's trying to fix DeFi, and I think a lot of us are feeling the same way. I don't know how many people are watching us, but I know a lot of OG Hexicans watch your stuff, and you know, we're hanging on. We got stakes going out, you know, upwards of 15 years. So we obviously, you know, we're here to stay, and we believe in what's happening here. And, you know, some of the conversation around the builders on PulseChain, and even just bringing back to life, you know, old contracts from Ethereum that have been forked that have a tremendous value on the Ethereum side is very exciting.
It's unbelievable. And the whole concept, you know, the movement, the 5555 it's so much more powerful than just on the surface. Oh, look at this guy. Oh, you guys are stuck forever. And it's like, man, what are you stuck in? Like, what was everyone else stuck in? I'd rather be stuck in something that's got this kind of stuff going on, rather than stuck in, you know, for example, I don't know. I don't want to hate on Litecoin, but that's always reminds me of somebody talking about his neighbor trying to sell him on Litecoin being it forever. I'm like, man, there's some other stuff going on that you can think outside the box a little bit. But if you want to spend some time, shout out to Litecoin, by the way. I don't mean to hate on Litecoin. It did some good things back in the day. Silver to gold. Before we wrap up, I mean, definitely want to hit on HEX too. and spend the rest of the stream on that after we get through TA corner though. But was there, did you want to pull up GIF? Did you want to pull up, what was the other one you want to talk
so
about?
give me your TLDR on GIF. I'll pull up the chart here and tell me your thoughts on it. And what is it and who made it and what is it about?
So I'm going to have the guys on hopefully this week or early next for the full technical deep dive. I've been fascinated with it. I did a whole stream on permeable tokenomics, or at least my understanding of it back then. But essentially, these are a new paradigm, new protocols that are built on these particular principles, such as creation instead of inflation. You got no leaky boat. You got permeable tokenomics, which is this kind of compounding. I like to simplify it and say double buy and burn, but I think maybe it's oversimplification. It's like a compounding buy and burn effect with these tokens, where essentially, again, I'll be super brief here because I'm extremely curious to see what the TA guy has to say about it, because it's the first time I talked about it in this aspect. But you take one token, GIF, you pair it with PLS, 10-to-1 ratio, one GIF, 10 PLS, and you can mint PGIF. And the PGIF gets the GIF gets burned through the contract, and the PGIF gets bought and burned off the market. And that's why I was so intrigued to see what this would do to a chart. I've been looking at it myself. I'm not a TA guy, but that's why I was like, oh, I wonder what Axis can see in that. Can he see the buy and burns? Can he see the just the action of people both trading it and both the contract kind of working its magic too?
So on the surface, the reason for, well, I would need to know some stuff that I don't have information, which is like I would need to know how much GIF has been burned for permagif and how much PLS has been burned with it, which would be 10-to-1, right? Because that's a constant.
I want to say, so the PLS doesn't get burned. It gets used, 90% of it gets used to go buy and burn PGIF off the market. So the PLS is used to buy the PGIF off the market. The GIF does get burned.
When you burn this coin, it automatically buys back PGIF or GIF?
So when you're minting, it burns GIF, and then it takes the pulse, 90% of the pulse, and it buys PGIF and then burns the PGIF.
Yep. Makes sense.
I think around, I want to say, I thought I saw around 18% of GIF has been burned. Don't quote me on it, but I think you could say within that range, 15 to 20% of GIF has been burned so far. It's been a month or so with a billion supply.
So in terms of the GIF that gets burned, what's the value of a GIF right now? 002, and then what's a PGIF? 002. So yeah, that makes sense that the PGIF is slightly more expensive than the GIF because there's also that extra 10 PLS cost.
Yeah, PGIF is essentially GIF, but with the value of PLS, in there.
Yep. In terms of like,
and I don't know if you've seen it too, the ARB opportunity of you could do between GIF and PGIF. You could, PGIF.
Is there a GIF PGIF chart?
I don't think there's a chart for it yet.
I would be surprised if somebody didn't pair them together. Let's see, GIF. I mean, you could do mental gymnastics about this all day. Oh, I forgot that this is broken. Shit. So I won't be able to pull that up. For some reason, Dex Screener's broken today, but Dex Tools was broken this morning. Something happened. Okay, so from a technical angle, let me flip on log. Obviously, this chart structure is pretty good. Total volume on the entire chart is 170 grand. So it's been a pretty efficient chart. They've been able to move the price up 175x with very low input cost. Obviously, if it's $170,000 of volume, at least half of that was sell volume, or at least half of that was buy volume, if not more, because you're getting upside price action. So you could assume that this 174x was accomplished with less than $100,000, which means that there was no early holders that are dumper types. That this is, there's benevolent action happening in this chart because it is both efficient and holding its structure. So that's cool. What else can I say?
I'd say the biggest question people had is about liquidity. And I think that's something that the guys have been.
I can't show it because silly 9mm broken today. So if I go, I'll try and see if it's fixed. Oh, they finally fixed it. Okay, so I know it's fixed because this data here is finally stabilized out. This was a flat line this morning, so I think this should load the top tokens and top pairs, hopefully.
Yeah, that's the biggest question. Is like, okay, there's not much liquidity on the Pulse side, but I think the ideal is where it's so new and it's not meant to be one of those. It's kind of like one of those over time, the community, is supposed to add liquidity. It's supposed to be like this real DeFi protocol of, hey, over time it grows. It's not something you can just, one of the principles like teaching people how to use, putting up liquidity to get their orders filled and to sell or buy instead of just marketing the price back and forth. That's like a principle of it too.
Something that Axis did first. It's like not it was the first educational tool on PulseChain. It's awesome to see other people adopting the same strategy. That was the whole reason for creating it in the first place, and so I'm happy that people like the Tang gang's all proud and talking about how they did it, and now Gift's doing it. Everyone's doing it, which is important because the more people that teach people how to use these tools now early in the bull run, the better for the longevity and the health of the market long term. Because people are able to make fees and exit and enter positions through single sided liquidity. It's not loading. The 9mm busted today. It's been busted for a couple days now, unfortunately. But hey, there's going to be other V3 DEXs launching soon. So keep your eye out for 9-inch V3 DEX. Freedom Swap is also building V3 DEX as well to compete. And and of course we have 2FUCs coming, which is a different kind of method. It's a balancer fork, so it's a little bit different. But there are other V3 DEXs coming. I think there may be others. I don't want to name them because I don't know if they actually have V3. I know they have V2. Spark Swap comes to mind, but yeah. So I can't load the GIF pool. I think they're on. Are they on the They're not on Uniswap, are they?
I think there's some V2 liquidity, at least with PGIF. I think PGIF's on V2.
Let me go check uniswap.hedron.pro quick and see if we can get it over there. PulseChain. Giffordwear. Boom. Okay, so that one hasn't been done. Let's see if PGIF has been done over here. Yeah, because it would have been cool to be able to show you. I mean, the walls that were on, like the technical analysis I can do, was on the GIF chart. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, none of these are loading. So sorry guys, I won't be able to give you, but the gist of it is, assuming this is the PulseX chart, I need to see, like I said, I can't load. Maybe I can load this on Dex Tools. Let's see if I can get this over here. I need to be able to see the 9mm pool. I think this is it here, 199,000 US. So that, by the way, that volume analysis I just did for you. Oh, I'm sorry.
I was just saying that's one of the pools, yeah.
Yeah, this is the main one. So remember that volume analysis I did for you that said 170K was done to basically get the 175X.
Yes.
Well, it wasn't fully comprehensive because look at on this pool this is where 200 grand of liquidity is. It's the most of it out of any of the pairs. This one's had 420K of volume. So you got to combine them. So you're actually looking at closer to 600K was, transacted in both directions to get you the 165 to 175X return. So it not as efficient as I thought originally, which is okay. I wanted to point out that there's 260 million pulse protecting the price and 81 million GIF overhead resistance. And if I was able to view this on Dex Screener, it would tell me the dollar value of these. I have to manually figure this out here, what that is in dollar terms. What is 81 times 0.002? I suppose it would be, it's not symmetrical, so I can't just take the 190K and divide it in half like I can on PulseX. I have to figure out how much is on each side. So this is a price of 2.2. So it says here 81. This is saying 81.81 million GIF, is it not?
I can't read it from my side right there. But I think on deck screen, doesn't it say, if you go to the GIF chart, it'll say the dollar amount. If you scroll down, it'll say the dollar amount for each. I think it's like 200K GIF to, I don't know, I want to say 20K.
Right here, you mean?
Okay. Yeah, is that? Yeah, that
this is
right.
the PulseX pool, and I don't have the link to the 9mm pool. Do you have the link to the 9mm? Because I can't search it because it's broken. Everything's broken.
One sec.
Okay.
1 sec. Yeah, I should have it.
So my whole point with this was there was way more overhead, like a brick of cell pressure overhead that's basically preventing price from going higher. And there's not as much support below it. Although I think that changed overnight because I'm pretty sure there's more now than there was. There's now 260 million pulse supporting price, whereas yesterday I think that was like abysmal in comparison, which is good because it's showing you that somebody's willing to protect the price up in these ranges. Just waiting on that. Like for example, on the Axis pools, there's 2 billion pulse protecting the price here at 354 million pulse per Axis, or at 22K. There's 2 billion here, and then there's another 2 billion on 9-inch. I just checked it this morning. Let's see.
Okay, check your DM. I sent you the link.
Okay. Checking the DM. Telegram DM? Oh, check its Twitter DM.
Twitter, yeah.
You have to be a wizard to be able to do this, to live this streamer life. Seriously, well, you got to be able to quickly hop between
not just your Windows, but devices and everything else.
Devices, Windows. So yeah, okay. So this is what I mean when I'm admitting my concerns with GIF currently, and it might be out of their control, but I think it should be noted. Price performance has been amazing. Look at this. In pulse terms, from the lows, it's up 33x from 21st February on this chart. Okay, but there's only $16,000 of pulse supporting the price. Whoops. Here. Oh shit! 1 second. There's only $16,000 supporting price here, and we don't know what the range depth is because I can't pull up the damn thing because 9mm is broken. But then you got 180 grand of overhead cell pressure up here. So, there's just not the support. Now, if the dynamic is that the people that hold the GIF token aren't dumpers and they're just support and they're going to hold this stuff for the long term, then obviously there's no concern of needing to support it, because you'd want like anybody who would sell the little bit they have to push it down to buy it back for so little. So the game of liquidity is way more intricate and nuanced than most people give it credit for. For example, this wick here was massive. The price slipped 27% in one candle, and then someone came back in and bought it back up 35%. And that was possible because how much liquidity was exchanged. So that was $30,000. Now, if they bear with me here. So if $30,000 of volume, meaning $15,000 out, $15,000 in, pushed the price down 30%, but instead they had 100 grand here, this price wouldn't have sold off so hard. It might have only sold off to like here or here. And it's because there's no support structure below it with only 16K there that whoever does sell is going to slip down. But that could be a feature, not a bug, if they know that the amount of liabilities out there is limited, right? So it can slip down. Somebody can like have, $100,000 of value here, sell it all in one shot, and only get $30,000 out because there's not enough liquidity here to service their $100,000 transaction. So then it ends up slipping it way down. And then, whoever's a GIF bull can just obviously pop it right back up by injecting that buy back in. So it could be a feature, not a bug, to have low liquidity. But typically what you want to see is lots of support in here so that anybody that sells, it doesn't damage chart structure. But each market maker is going to do their own thing. And So the current setup looks good. I would say if as long as they know, the market makers, that people aren't going to go nuke this chart and that there's someone there ready to buy it back. Similarly to how Rat Pulse was being bought back on the ETH chain with a bot. A bot was just constantly sitting there buying back every single $3,000 sell for a whole day, basically. So
I'm curious too to dig in with them if we do a stream this week about just the protocol and the effect of that on people's mentality for selling it, because are you ever going to get this price together? All these things go through your head of, okay, well, the chart looks good and the protocol does what it says it's going to do. Like there's a lot I want to dig into with them as well. But yeah, I'm glad we talked about liquidity.
Was there a total cap supply of this one?
So 1 billion GIF, and then again, PGIF is created through that. So whatever it's created, it burns.
PGIF is going to be totally dependent on GIF to come into existence, which is good. That's what you want to see.
The creation, not inflation model.
Creation, dude. Yeah, you have to remove value from here to produce value over here. That's the only sustainable method, in my mind, going forward. With certain nuances, like HEX, obviously, you burn it away for the into the future, and then you get back all that plus more, which could cause. It's different with that one, right? So that's interesting. But yeah, just looking at the contracts here, I mean, most people don't have. There's some wallets here with 1%, but assuming these are probably a lot of copycat wallets where there's like, the same guy is holding like 10 of the top wallets or 20 or 30 of the top wallets. So it's usually how these things go, especially when the distribution is pretty small. There's only 330 holders. So, but I think that the key takeaway here is that you got proof that somebody cares about it, wants to pump the price, wants to try something new, create value. I would make the suggestion that somebody comes in and supports this thing with more value. And then just, let it kind of let adoption happen organically. That's always the best best way forward. And maybe remove some overhead sell pressure. Like I would say that's a little bit, unless the goal is to keep this price range bound in here for some reason that I'm unaware of, get rid of that sell wall. Like get rid of it and just let the price go to the sky.
Wow. Appreciate the analysis. That's yeah, I'm sure they do too, as far as new project, new paradigm. Hopefully an educational tool for people to learn from about liquidity too. But all right, we got 8 minutes, and I'm not sure about you, but that'd be amazing if we could make those the best 8 minutes about why HEX is the way possible. What do you think?
Well, look, HEX broke out. We all know that HEX has so much potential, and it's just going to take a little more time, but also just maybe if I go into the quick technicals of why it's easier to pump HEX now at this point, and like why that would be interesting. So there's $21 million of liquidity here on HEX, Pulse, the main pair. But some of the main other pairs, like Pulse, has $34 million of liquidity. PulseX Pulse is $46 million. Inc. has $30 million on Inc. Pulse, and it's got an additional $30 million on Inc. PulseX. So, all the other RH tickers have a lot of liquidity between them, but PHEX doesn't have so much, so it actually makes it easier to pump that one. If Inc. goes to double-digit prices and sustains them, like $10, $20, $30 per Inc., there's guys that are going to be making insane amounts of capital every single day. And that the difference with HEX is that it forces the user to lock up their funds and push them out into the future to capture that value. And because of that mechanic, it's not like immediately dumpable. So like the upside potential on Inc., no matter what, is eventually going to slow down because of the immediate capital generating mechanism of it, whereas HEX always forces you to generate capital for the future. And because HEX is so cheap, the yield isn't really worth much right now on a short time frame, and which is why I think it has so much more headroom and upside over the next year to 2 years, is because I think, HEX Dylan talks about how Inc. he thinks is overvalued and Hex is undervalued tremendously. And I agree with him. And I also think that both still have a shitload of upside, especially if we get the kind of adoption that this Glassnode transaction counter is trying to say that is possible for PulseChain. We haven't seen anything, and I think both can go a lot higher. But I do anticipate that in some point, the upside on Inc. is going to start to slow down because of how much people are making and selling into the market. And if any of that, at the point at the end of the bull market where that starts to flow out, or multiple places in the bull market where that starts to flow too far, it's going to start to flow into Hex because Hex is just so undervalued. And it does have a tendency to be a safer yield generating mechanism, no risk required, no impermanent loss. And because, you know, the Inc. yield can be dumped on the spot, Hex yield can't be dumped on the spot. So it creates a scenario where there's just less overhead in Hex at higher prices.
Do you think that the whole, I guess, principle of, you know, right now it's kind of like, you know, what reasons does anyone have to hold these coins and not sell versus once the price starts going up, it's like, you know, they don't want to sell, right? What the price keeps going up. Is that kind of switch? How much does that matter once we get to that point?
So you're asking me, why would they not sell when the price starts to go up?
Yeah, right now it's kind of like, these coins worthless, you know, because the price is so depressed and everything at the market, and everyone's like, it just keeps all this stuff. But once we get into the price go up, then it kind of flips into, okay, I don't.
So you're trying to lead into the sentiment, how sentiment works, which is when a person's experiencing gain, they want more gain. When a person's experiencing loss, they want out.
Yeah, they want
this is the opposite. So this is the problem with people. If you're not an expert in market making, you're not thinking the right way. So like, and I'm going to try to help you figure this out. So not you, Max, but just anyone listening that wants to listen to this to get better at this game. It's like a video game. If somebody hates it and shitting on it and spitting on it, that's the thing that you want to be buying, as long as it's got product market fit and it's going to be here for the long haul. That was Inc. at the bottom down here, where it had just went down 97% against Pulse for months and months and months and months. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months of down -9. At this point, even I was starting to question, you know, if Inc. wasn't just a problem for the space forever and like it was going to break the whole thing. But then, of course, right on cue, you know, December 6th, when I was saying that, boom, double bottom, and then it ripped 22x. Hex is there now, guys. Hex is there now. It's at that point where I'm measuring this in Pulse valuations because the dollar chart, I mean, look, the dollar chart's not giving us very much information except that it's basically a stable coin. You know, if you scroll this down like that, look at Hex has been a stable coin on the Pulse chain specifically between 1 penny and 3 pennies its whole life. Eventually it's going to break out of this range to the upside. And when that happens, I mean, the measured move is very, very high. Not $150, guys. Not $150. But like here's a linear chart. This price action here on Hex is going to get pancaked. Like it's just going to get pancaked. Here's the all-time high, 56 cents. This thing is going to go up here, and it's like nobody's business. Once you start clearing like 10 cents, then 20 cents, it's going to go fast. Why do I say that? Well, look at Inc. Look at Inc on the dollar chart. Remember the coin that everyone hated and faded? This chart looks pretty good, huh? Would you agree?
If you're on the other side of it, yeah.
Okay. And then I'm going to flip off log. Boom. Pancaked. Absolutely.
What, the HEX chart?
This is Inc.
Yeah, I know. I'm like, that looks like the
EHEX chart. It does look like the EHEX chart. And look, when you turn off log, I mean, that still looks like it's got a shitload of potential to like come up here to like $30, $50. But at some point, this Inc coin is going to get heavy. Whereas like Hex, because you have to lock it for longer to get the yield, it's got way more runway. Deeper and deeper you go into the bull market. I'm bullish on Inc. I'm bullish on Hex. I think they're like two sides of a seesaw providing yield for the Pulse chain. They're the three pillars of yield on Pulse chain is Pulse validating, Hex staking, Inc yield farming. Those are your three pillars, and they all have their place in the ecosystem. And this ink chart pancaked price action going back to last December when it bottomed and then it started to break out. Like this is a 22x, and you can hardly see it on the screen here. If I turn on log, it looks a lot better. But this is what Hex is about to do. It's about to go from pancake mode to 20 cents. You know, like nobody's business. Like this is, I don't know if it happens tomorrow or in 6 months, but that's a 22x, guys, right there. The same thing that ink just did. It's basically staring you in the face saying, I'm going to do what ink did. Hey, I'm ink's twin sister particle that I'm the yield mechanic for delayed gratification and staking. Ink's like my brother. Ink does the same thing, but it's more immediate gratification. But they're both doing the same thing, locking up funds. One's locking them up in the LP pools. One's locking them up in hex stakes. Both kind of doing similar things.
That's interesting, the way to look at it too. Like, you know, I'm ink, but with time locking. Like I hadn't really thought about that kind of concept either, which I mean, gives you a reason to, you know, if you're new to hex, you're just in a PulseChain, you're like, what? I don't get hex. I mean, well, look at ink, and then like, kind of like what you explained, and then be like, okay, and you can lock it up and earn more with it. Instead of, you know, I mean, with ink, you can go through the ink farms, compound through that too, but hex is a simplified version, very simplified version. There's some analogies there.
And hex is like it holds you to your commitment, whereas ink you're not committed to anything. You know, you can pull that LP farm anytime you want.
Committed to Mad Gains, bro.
But it just so happens to be that when people are gaining money, they like to keep gaining money, which is why that you're going to see that with both ink and hex. You know, when things get good, they're going to keep getting better and better and better, just like the last bull market. Like this ink chart's going to go a lot higher. You know, you take this breakout from these lows to that one there. This is my last thing I'm going to say, and then we'll hop off here, Max.
Sounds good.
Bam. And then if you do that from this level here, assuming that was the low, you know, maybe we're there now. Maybe it's going to go a little lower. Maybe we go down to the bottom of this flag or something. But I mean, it's already targeting like a $20 ink based on what happened here. And this is like ascending triangle right here. You know, bull flag. And then if assuming this is a double bottom here, it could be, it couldn't be. I'm not telling you what's going to happen. You know, $20-$30 is the target level. Even if then we can play more conservative. We can say from the breakout here to the high, take that level, and then go from there to there. Like boom, right to my white line, $10. We're gonna go back. Obviously, it's gonna go back to $10. The question is like the time frame and things like that. But you know, guys, everything's cheap. Buy what you want. I don't care. It's all undervalued. PulseChain is just extremely undervalued. We'll see you guys when we get the 1 million users, right? That's coming. I'll be here streaming all the way too. The rumor has it I'll be streaming on PulseChain's birthday with Max.
That's the rumor. That's something that some people would probably like to see. I would say that, myself included. All right, man. Fantastic stream as usual. Yeah, glad we work out some of the timing on that as well. And yeah, PulseChain's birthday is coming up soon, so. Very excited about that. If you just joined, my gosh, please go back and replay game because you will learn something. I guarantee it. In this stream, we covered a lot of different things. Got to go harder in hex next time. That was my fault. I was like, man, we just kept going. You kept intriguing me, and I felt compelled to keep going down these ETH and Pulse rabbit holes, man. And especially the security section. I think that was. I'm glad we covered that. I think that was super important for people to learn from. And you know, I've got, again, I go real DeFi, click under learn to earn, click security. I got like, I don't know, 40, 50, 60 videos or something. Did security week, got hours and hours of content to learn on the blog and stuff too. But yeah, appreciate you going through that. And I think that was helpful for people. And we don't want to keep seeing it happen. We want to avoid doing that. So, Access, man, where can people find out about you and all your amazing stuff, man?
Yep. I'll keep trying to give you guys updates for free on YouTube and Telegram, youtube.com/YouTube and Twitter or X, youtube.com/accessalive, one word, x.com/accessalive for my handle.
Do you tweet or do you post? I still say tweet. I can't say post. Post sounds too generic.
I think the X rebrand was a mistake. I think Twitter was a much better brand. And yeah, you can't, you know, Elon's smart, but he's not that smart, I guess.
I think he's got some stuff coming, which may over time make it feel more natural. But right now, it's like, yeah, tweet. I say tweet because then you know what platform.
I'm not giving it up.
Post, you don't know.
I'm gonna keep talking
yet.
tweets.
I say tweet all the time. I always look for somebody to correct me. Nobody does. So I guess they're thinking the
Everybody
same
knows
thing.
inherently that he jumped the ship on that one.
Well,
But yeah,
Elon,
so
come buy HEX. By the way, you got a fondness for
he
HEX.
does
I
have a
think I heard
fondness
that.
for it. That's what I heard. So yep.
Shout
And
out
then
to Elon Musk.
go. Signups are closed on the website currently. We had like a massive influx of people last month. So, but as those start to as people start to drop off, we'll open stuff up. So if you want to be on the waiting list, message AA Business Manager on Telegram, or just go to the website and fill out the form. We'll get you on the wait list. It's pretty fun over there. We do talk about a lot of valuable stuff. So, yeah, thanks for having me. Appreciate you.
Of course, man. For the 29th time, we're going to just guess here. Access Live, everyone. accesslive.com. Oh, great stream. And hope you got your fill for today. If not, hopefully there's another stream coming up at some point that will get you even more information, either from my channel or not. This week has been a fun week. And man, appreciate it, man, as always.
Thanks.
That's all we got for you. That's all we got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.